Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everyone. Today we have the most fabulous guest. We are welcoming Marc Oshima to the Produce Moms podcast. Marc is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of AeroFarms. AeroFarms is a phenomenal company. You know, they were recently recognized by Fast Company as one of the most innovative companies in the world. And today we welcome one of their co-founders as well as their chief marketing officer. Marc, welcome to the Produce Moms podcast.
Excited to be here.
Oh, it's going to be a great show. So, we really just have to get started here. I am so excited to hear the story of AeroFarms directly from you, and I know our listeners are too. So please tell us, what is AeroFarms and how did you get this thing started?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share what we're doing. So AeroFarms, we are the world leader for indoor vertical farming. And we've actually been doing this since 2004. We're actually growing indoors in converted warehouses without sun or soil. I'm thinking actually fundamentally about how we can optimize plants to be able to think about a better product that's locally grown, that is more nutritious, delicious, and safety is a big part of that, how we can manage the entire process from seed to package. And so we're transforming agriculture by enabling local production. We're putting the farms in major cities where the people are. Our global headquarters, we're based in Newark, New Jersey. We've built 9 farms to date, including the world's largest indoor vertical farm based on productivity and output. And we're excited to think about our impact not only here in the US, but around the world and bringing better product to the consumer.
And you are doing just that. And so many things have happened along the ways. I mean, this accolade from Fast Company is just one of them. Let's talk about some of the other recent recognitions. I know you were recently on stage at Grocery Shop. I know the company is a certified B Corporation. Tell our listeners what all of these phenomenal opportunities as well as certifications mean.
Yeah, what's really exciting is that we've been championing a new way of growing, but it's not just the what, it's the how. And that's why we really thought long and hard about, as a mission-driven organization, what kind of certification could help represent that. And we're really excited to be part of the certified B Corporation, where there's a transparent scorecard, both on environmental factors and societal factors. And so as a company, we're constantly thinking about, what are the pain points in the industry, how we can help uniquely address that. But how we're doing it in terms of creating jobs, year-round employment, fair wages, fair benefits. We're addressing food deserts. We're increasing access to healthier food. These are all really critical when we think about all the different stakeholders. And the environment is one of the most important things here too. When we think about some of the traditional challenges you see out in the field, 70% of fresh water is going to agriculture. 70% of the pollution is coming from agriculture in terms of overuse of fertilizer or pesticides and some of the runoff issues. And so you want to have an impact on water and thinking about our most precious resource. You think about what we can do from a farming standpoint. And so the Aero and AeroFarms refers to aeroponics. And that means we're misting the roots with water and nutrients. It's a way of growing that uses 95% less water than the field farm and even 40% less than hydroponics.
Wow.
It's fundamentally thinking about how to grow the best environment for the plants and what do the plants need in the roots, and the roots actually need oxygen. And so we're creating a really healthy biome, for that. And so
wow.
How we've done this, how we've approached it is quite unique in the marketplace. We think about the industry overall, there's different types of indoor farming. There's container farming, converting, old containers in terms of small scale applications. There's a traditional greenhouse, where you're dependent on the sun, and using hydroponics. But aeroponics and what we're doing with indoor vertical farming has some significant advantages in terms of our ability to control the entire process. More importantly, it's about how we can really have a commercial application here that can really feed the masses. What we've done is quite unique in the marketplace in that all of our growing technology we've designed in-house. So when we think about our team of over 160 people today, it's comprised of not only the plant scientists, right, who understand the plant's biology, the crop physiology, plant pathology. We think about the systems, and we've designed these systems, and we have industrial engineers, mechanical engineers, lighting engineers, PLC engineers, biological engineers, thinking about how they work together. We layer in IT and what we call stack, which is looking at every single part of the farm and how we measure it, and thinking about how we're harvesting the data and as much as we're harvesting the product. And then we take it all the way through. We have registered dietitian nutritionists on staff. So we have this really holistic view of how we can grow the best plants possible. And when we think about the plant health, how it translates into human health, and having that unique approach of where we've managed and designed everything allows us to understand how the symbiotic relationship between all the elements work together. We'll be the first to tell you this is incredibly complex to do. You have to be an expert in both the biology, the mechanical systems, the environmental systems, and then thinking operations. And so this is where we really excelled at thinking about large-scale applications. We have over 250 standard operating procedures on how to run the farm. And most of those are rooted in food safety. And so this is a really important area when we think about some of the challenges we see in farming overall. How do we ensure a more secure, food system? And by being able to grow indoors with the type of controls that we have, we can really mitigate and minimize some of the traditional pressures that we see. So it's exciting. This is a new dawn of a new way of farming. But more importantly, it's a new way of how we can think about food. And so what we're doing and focusing is first and foremost is on flavor. And flavor is something that's gone to the wayside when we think about some of the field farmers. They're thinking about, is it mildew resistant or is it drought resistant, or can the plant withstand a very complex supply chain? And we're able to think first and foremost about how we can celebrate the flavor and the varieties. And this is what's been really, really exciting in terms of, coming to the marketplace, working with top, tastemakers, top chefs, top buyers, where they give us feedback where they feel like their palates have been woken up again. The idea of used to taste. And so we're excited to be able to create those and rekindle those food memories and create some new ones as well.
Yeah, that is so important. I'm so glad that's one of your pillars, is the actual flavor of your product. And, I definitely come from the school of thought that first and foremost, all of our goals should be to have a delicious product, because at the end of the day, it's not nutrition until it's eaten, and no one is going to choose something that doesn't taste good. So it's really exciting. Let's talk a little bit more about the actual products that you are growing. Tell us a little bit more about what you're actually producing in your farms and where your farms are located.
Sure. We first of all, we've been able to grow over 700 different types of plants and cultivars. So it's an opportunity to really celebrate a really rich biodiversity.
Wow.
Grow indoors. There's not a technology limitation. It's just really more about where the business opportunities are, where we can add the most value. So today, our commercial farms are focused on short stem leafy greens and herbs and microgreens as well. And we've grown hundreds of varieties there. And so it's an opportunity to really bring back, a lot of varieties that have disappeared. If we look at the seed bank from 100 years ago, there were over 497 different types of lettuces. Of those remaining today, it's less than 40. And it's a reminder that we've lost, some of the things that really made different areas very special. And so there's an opportunity both from a geography as well as a cultural standpoint to hone in and develop different varieties that we can bring to the market every single day. And that's what's really different, is that we're growing indoors and being able to have an ability to grow all year round. So when we talk about short stem leafy greens and herbs, for example, for baby leafy greens out in the field, that may take 30 to 45 days to grow. And what does that mean? That means usually 2 to 3 harvests that they can have, in the year. And we're able to take that exact same plant and grow in 12 to 14 days by giving the plant exactly what it needs when it needs it. And so it's understanding that plant biology. But by and a half or even a third of the time is transformative in and of itself. But what that means is up to 30 harvests a year. So it's fundamentally changing that equation as well when we think about output and having the commercial application and thinking about how we feed the masses.
Right. And that's one of the components of your mission-driven mindset. I mean, it's right there. When you visit aerofarms.com, one of the very first things that you see is the statistic about the world population in 2050, which is a concern to agriculture as it stands today. And that's one reason why agriculture needs companies and innovators like AeroFarms and Marc Oshima, is because, we've got a lot of people to feed in a short amount of time with declining resources as traditional farming stands today. So it's amazing to me what you just said. You are able to shorten the harvest cycle, right? I mean, is that the right terminology? Like you're able to
the crop cycle.
Okay, so shorten the crop cycle. You're able to utilize a significant amount of less natural resources. You said 95% less water, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And I know from visiting your website and keeping a tight eye on you, because of the style in which you grow, I mean, how much more per acre are you able to do? I mean, because you go so high up in these buildings. So it's like you've got...
Right.
So talk a little bit more just about the land use footprint too.
Right. So we use, it's 1%, of what you would have out in the field. And so...
Oh my gosh.
This is how you can fundamentally think about bringing the farm, to the communities where the people are, right?
Right.
We have an incredibly complex supply chain, and we have had some really incredibly smart people thinking about how to manage that. But, there's inherent challenges of that. And so we're able to have the right kind of production. This is a way of growing, just to put it in some other numbers as well. When you factor in that faster crop cycle, the amount we can grow, how many cycles we can have in a year, you factor in that there are no weeds, right? We grow with no pesticides. There's no competition, so we get greater output per square foot as well. And then you factor in the vertical nature. The beds are stacked on top of each other in these warehouses. And this is a way of growing that has over 390 times more productivity per square foot than that field farm on an annualized basis. And that's incredibly exciting about how we use technology and how we think about driving innovation to think about agriculture in a very different way here.
Oh, 100%. And as someone who lives in the Midwest, where our ability to have locally sourced product, really is, it's not like living in California, Florida, or Texas, where they have this incredible climate and biodiversity that's allowing their consumers to source locally grown pretty much year round. Talk a little bit more about that and what AeroFarms has brought to regions of the United States and maybe even the world that have never seen this kind of local agriculture.
Yeah, I mean, what we see, the number one trend at retail is local, more than organic, more than natural. It's about having a connection with your food, where it's coming from, how it's grown, and then even how it's prepared, right? So we're seeing these macro trends and interests around that. And that's what's exciting in terms of our ability to be able to connect within the community. And then, by the way, we talk about hiring locally. We talk about these farms and the output is really by the community for the community, right? And so local is such a powerful encompassing component, not only talking about freshness, and the quality of the product, but it's also talking about the impact it has and economic impact it has within the communities. And so we're excited to be able to think of how we can celebrate that. And so, we've built 9 farms to date. We've even had an international presence since 2011 in Saudi Arabia, being able to grow in a very tough, obviously very tough environment. So this idea that we can think about farms and food resiliency and food sovereignty in a very different way and help countries be able to address that as well. So this is where we think we have an exciting lens. It's always been a global lens from that standpoint, and thinking about how we can help address these broader issues.
Right. Yeah. And you're doing just that. Let's talk a little bit more how the end consumer, moms like me, how we can know that we're getting the AeroFarms product. I want you to talk about your retail brand, which is Dream Greens, what this product line is all about and where it's available today.
Right. So we are growing in the Northeast, and the product is available from Maryland to Connecticut in terms of that kind of a footprint. It's available both at major supermarkets. It's not just the Whole Foods, but major supermarkets like the ShopRites of the world. We're available online through key retailers like Fresh Direct. But we also sell and have a big presence within the food service community. So we work with major partners like Compass Group and the Restaurant Associates and their different divisions. And it's really about, we work with institutions and schools. We really want to increase access to really great, healthy food. And we're excited by the partners that we have. And so there are a number of different ways of being able to enjoy. One of the things that we're really excited about is that we actually have our own farm stand where the community come in once a week and get access to fresh, healthy food that's just been harvested at a great value. And it's addressing fundamentally, a food desert. So options are very limited. And so we're getting a chance to provide the freshest product, to the community at a great value. Being able to have so many different touch points has been really exciting. One of the working farms that we've had has been in an inner city school here in Newark, New Jersey, at a school called Phillips Academy Charter School. We've been there for over 9 years. Our growing system and our technology is very modular, can be adapted to different types of spaces. And the idea, again, how do we repurpose buildings, abandoned buildings, and revitalize them? Our growing system is actually right in their dining hall. And they're very conscious about calling it a dining hall too, because it's another classroom. But it's the shortest farm to table experience around for the students. They actually grow it. It's a kindergarten through 8th grade program. And the students are growing it. They're even enjoying it, the most important part of it. And that's what we see is how you can impact not only their behavior, but then the ripple effect into their broader community, to their families. And so we're excited to be able to have, different aspects that we're able to do within the community.
Well, yeah, that makes me smile, and I know it makes all of our listeners smile too. That's amazing. Next time I'm in the area, I want to come see it. Is that information on you? Is there footage of that school, AeroFarms, on the website?
Yeah, so we have information about the school and the program there. It's a farm that Michelle Obama got a chance to visit before she left office, right? And she was visiting different schools and programs, and we were excited to have her because she's been really a big champion on more healthy eating and how to drive consumption. And that's such a critical thing. Just going back to one of your earlier comments, Lori, in terms of you want to increase nutrition, you have to make it taste good, right? And that's what we're celebrating in terms of how do we change behavior and how do we change consumption? Our high bar is actually no dressing is needed, and so people are enjoying the greens just natural, and they're being, really discovering new tastes, new textures, and new eating occasions. So people are now grazing. And so our watercress, for example, is, we have a whole campaign of, it's the next popcorn, right? The idea that you enjoy these things. And it's exciting to be able to think about, how do we change behavior? We're coming out with a new line of microgreens that usually have been, more of a premium or more of a precious, type of item.
Sure.
And it's more of a garnish or a finishing item. And our focus is we're going to put this center of the plate. You're going to be enjoying microgreens like you've never been able to before. And that's what's exciting in terms of our ability to grow and have an impact and think about increasing access to healthy, delicious foods.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And let's talk also, you mentioned earlier when we were talking about what you need from an environmental standpoint in terms of natural resources. Can we talk a little bit about your environmental outputs at the AeroFarms operation? We do know that with pesticide use in fields, there is an environmental output with that. You've obviously eliminated the need for pesticides growing indoors. Let's talk about, are there any environmental outputs that we're not thinking of here? Like what does the AeroFarms entire footprint look like from an environmental output?
Yeah, so we're very conscious about what we call the circular economy, right? And the idea is, how do you minimize inputs and outputs? How do you minimize waste, right? And so we're doing things by being able to track. I mean, this is first and foremost, this is just-in-time growing with our selling partners. So you have a tremendous amount of efficiency. It's not like the traditional, model where you used to grow it and then take it to the market and sell it. We have tremendous customers that allow us to be able to develop and map out a specific growing schedule and then be able to harvest, and it's delivered to them within 24 hours. So it's the ultimate in freshness and ultimate in efficiency as well. So that's a huge part of the equation, because when we think about and there's been a lot of discussion, and I know you've had a lot of discussion around this concept of food waste, right? And so there's an appreciation that 40% of our food is being thrown out. If you take that back to the value chain for leafy greens, you take it back to the supermarket, you take it back to the processor, you take it back to the distributor, back to the farm, it's over 70% of that product is lost. And it's a huge amount of waste when we think about all that embedded energy and inputs that have gone into that. Mm-hmm. We can just fundamentally disrupt that, bypass that, and have a much more efficient way of growing. And so part of that lens is understanding what do the plants need? And we look at the 17 essential elements the plant needs. We think about the macronutrients, the micronutrients. We do third-party testing to show how much more significantly we can enhance that. And more importantly, how we can do it every single time in terms of replicating that. We think about what the plant needs from a photosynthesis, right? And so we can actually achieve more effective photosynthesis indoors than you would outdoors. And so it's always thinking about these building blocks around the plant, but allows us to be just that much more efficient in terms of how we grow and what we grow. So it's a very different approach. We talked about the savings, the 95% less than the field farm. We're able to grow because of this precision with just a fraction of the fertilizer. And then we talked a little bit about that, the idea that there's no pesticides, no fungicides, no herbicides, nothing. And it's a clean product. And ultimately, that's what the consumer is looking for, right? They want to have that reassurance that it's a safe product. There's nothing on it.
Sure. Yeah, we're putting it in our bodies.
We're putting it in our bodies.
Absolutely.
And what's exciting, though, is that this product, and because it's a pristine environment and how we manage the entire process, it's a ready-to-eat product, meaning no washing is needed. And so offering tremendous convenience, but also tremendous reassurance that there's no soil to wash off, there's no chemicals to wash off, there's no cross-contaminants to wash off. When you see something that says it's triple washed, you have to really kind of think about what are they doing? What's involved with that? And so, we're thinking very differently about that. And when you do that washing process, you actually are washing off some of the essential oils. It's subjecting the product to be damaged. It's a very aggressive washing process. And then you introduce moisture in there, so it affects shelf life. So by not having to do that are some significant advantages as well in terms of our performance.
Didn't even think about that angle, and you're absolutely right. I know you know it, you know this, but this is such an amazing operation. I mean, I really hope that one day I have an opportunity to tour the AeroFarms. I want to go to that school, but any of your properties, I would love to actually see this in action. Yeah. Yes. Now let's talk. I mean, you've been in the press a lot lately, Marc. I mean, you were on stage at Grocery Shop, Future of Food. There was just an article in the Times about AeroFarms' new partnership with Singapore Airlines. I mean, tell us more. Tell us about all this amazing attention, buzz, these well-earned accolades, and what is next for AeroFarms.
Yeah, we've been really appreciative by the different recognition, different awards, and awards are really meaningful because we're writing a new playbook in agriculture. We're writing a new playbook in business, and it's one thing for us to say it, but it's another thing for outside parties to be able to observe and make judgment, and that's what's been really validating. It's been tremendously exciting that the work that we're doing and the fact there is no playbook. We have to, have a vision about what kind of impact and where we're going. So the awards have been very meaningful for us and for our team to think about, what role we're actually playing. And that's gone hand in hand with the media and the press coverage as well. And so, for us, it's about how we expand production, working with amazing partners. You mentioned Singapore Airlines. This is, they had a concept of farm to plane, but this is a representation of bringing that to life. And so I mentioned that we are in Newark, New Jersey. There's a major international airport, Newark Airport. Singapore Airlines has the world's longest airplane ride from Newark to Singapore. It's over 18 hours. And they have multiple meals during that. And we're able to deliver to them a very different product proposition. Freshly grown, locally grown. But we're able to really think about different flavor profiles. So when we talk about our growing, and we think about, we've even trademarked this tagline of peak flavor always. but we're looking at how we can really accentuate the different flavor profiles. So our arugula, for example, is perfectly peppery. It has a really bold peppery punch. Our ruby streak mustard greens have a nice intense heat. Our romaine, though, is sweet. And so these are exciting to be able to accentuate. But what this means, though, is actually when you're in air, 30,000 feet in the air, your taste buds are actually diminished by about 30% due to dehydration. And what the Singapore Airlines team has come back and shared with us, and they have an incredible brand, obviously. They have an incredible culinary program to help continue to differentiate their levels of service, is that our flavors and juiciness of our greens, the freshness of the greens, really resonate and connect even at 30,000 feet. So, we look for key partners when we think about how to tell different parts of the story and help reinforce that. We think about key partners and thinking as how that will allow us to help expand into other geographies, into other regions. So we're really excited about programs like that to continue to open up more doors and ways for us.
Yeah, as you should be. And goodness, I hope that I can start buying these dream greens soon in the Midwest, because I don't want the best salads to only be on the East Coast. This has been just absolutely an amazing podcast. I've learned so much from you, Marc. I mean, I've certainly admired your work and have had the pleasure of knowing you as a produce industry colleague for a handful of years, but I had no idea. I thought I knew a lot about AeroFarms, and then we had this amazing conversation. So thank you so much. And, this really is just like a blow your mind type of episode for me. So I encourage everyone who is listening to today's podcast, please go visit aerofarms.com. That's AeroFarms.com. Follow along with what this amazing company is doing. I mean, they've among those awards that they've received, World Technology Award, the most innovative company. I mean, AeroFarms is doing big things, and they are mission driven, solving global problems, making the world a better place. And Marc, I just cannot thank you enough for being our guest today.
Well, thank you, and really appreciate getting a chance to share it with your audience. A lot of people aren't aware, because of this expertise we've developed around the plants and understanding them and be able to optimize in different environmental factors. We actually do proprietary research for Fortune 100 companies, helping them solve their ag supply chain issues as well. And so I guess maybe this is an important message. I mean, a key message that we would have is that it's not just about urban farming or indoor farming. It's about the work we're trying to do with agriculture overall and help bring everyone forward. Yeah, we look forward to be able to be in a market near you soon. And, we look forward to continuing to share more chapters in our story.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to Lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.